Hello everyone, it's Tom back again with another Get Fit for Cricket video. I'm here in my kitchen now. Instead of my bedroom, I got a bit fed up of it. Thought I'd come to somewhere new for you guys. Last week I did a video about the action of the lower body when we're bowling fast. I want to finish off that video by talking about what the upper body should do, so we can put the two together and hopefully all increase our bowling velocities. So to summarise what I said in that video, and also to make to actually revise something that I said, just to really clarify a point, there are two main features which defines what I think is a good lower body action, bowling action that is, and that's the soft step and the block. These are javelin terms, but we might as well use the same lingo instead of creating our own words when they're basically exactly the same thing. So the soft step is the action of the back leg when you're up to the crease. And what the back leg should do is when it lands, you don't want to be pushing off. It's almost like you want your linear momentum, your straight line velocity, to just continue on over that back foot landing. Now, a point I should have made, which was pointed out by one of a viewer in my last video, was that the back leg is not passive like I said it was. What I really meant by passive was that it's not really pushing off or forcing. That's a little bit misleading. What I should have said is that back leg, in fact, the knee collapses and also the heel turns. And what this does, so if you imagine this is, if I stand up and demonstrate actually, so here's my back foot is now landed. What happens is that knee collapses and then my heel turns up and out. So it's like you land a bit side on and then that heel turns up and out. What that does, you can see right now that my hips are rotating as a result of that. And that's all that the hips should do. You don't want to push off. Hip drive is a silly idea in my opinion, because you're trying to force a muscular contraction when muscles are slow. If you look at the real fast guys in any sport, they're so relaxed when they're performing their sport, and then there's sudden moments of contraction, and that's how they really transfer the energy up their body and do whatever they're trying to do fast. We don't want to be pushing off, we just want to be almost steering our energy that we've created in our run-up to the ball. So the action of the back leg is like a collapsing of the knee, like just straight down the pitch, and also a turning out of the heel, and then that will get your hips into the right position. You don't want to be forcing them through, that's slow, and ultimately it's going to slow down your bowling velocity. So that's what the back leg does. The front leg, we talked about, it's a straight block. Ideally, you want a very, very straight block to stop as much of your linear momentum as possible. So, now we've got that in place, let's just start off where we ended. So that's in, so I've blocked, now my hips are through, and I've got my strong front leg block here. So, what does the upper body want to do? Firstly, you want your shoulders to still be in that side-on position. You've jumped into your bound, you side on, you want them still back here when your hips are through. Now what this does is it creates something called a stretch reflex in your body. So this twisting causes a stretch in my trunk. We want to make use of this to bowl faster. And this is a term which you might have heard called hip-shoulder separation. I don't use it too much, I don't think it's, I don't know, I don't use it too much myself. But basically it's just when your hips are front on and your shoulders are side on. In this position here, you've got this stretch. And when a muscle is stretched, your Golgi tendon, which is a unit on every muscle fibre, it determines how long a muscle or how far a muscle should be stretched before your body wants it to contract and return to its original length. This is basically to stop you from getting injured, but we can actually make use of this to bowl faster. So in that stretched position, if we have enough energy going through our body is going to, what it's going to do is it's going to uncurl itself, it's going to uncoil, because it doesn't want those muscles to get overstretched, and then sort of tear and then get injured. So in this position here, hips front on, back leg. This is your shoulders are back. Now what's going to happen is with your arm back here with the ball in your hand, this is basically the position that every bowler needs to get into. It doesn't matter if you come back here. When you're bowling, this is the real important position. You're going to uncurl your body, and this arm, I don't actively encourage like a pulling down, but it's got to do something, and that's really just sort of get out of the way, encourage it, encourage your body to rotate round. But all the upper body does here is that you're just directing the energy. And this is something that I think the best way to think about this is it's almost like you're steering rather than driving. So what you're doing is uncurling the hip, the shoulder comes through, your chest might change the angle, so you change the angle of the delivery, but this arm has got to be very, very loose and relaxed, and you want to keep it back as long as possible so that it remains stretched for as long as possible. The longer it stretches, the faster it's going to fire back. So that's really the gist of it. There's nothing very much more to it. Don't try and interfere with this stretch reflex and this energy transfer, because ultimately what's going to happen is you're just going to slow down. When a muscle contracts, that creates its own friction, and we want to avoid that as much as possible by not getting too much muscular contraction involved. So just really do all the hard work with your lower body, and then just remain loose, keep that arm back for as long as possible, let those hips come through, and really I think, this is just in my opinion, you want to be directing that energy rather than generating it yourself. And when I look at the real fast bowlers of all time, you know, the real quick ones, this is what they do. They're relaxed at the crease. You know, you see they're controlled, they have good stability in their core to sort of transfer their energy through. You know, they're not all over the place, they're not wobbling around. They're just transferring as much of that energy as possible straight down the pitch by being relaxed and having this it's like a long pull. So that arm comes through, big long pull here, and then you just release. That's all there is really to it. I hope you can put these two videos together, and if you want to put this into practice, my advice would be just to film yourself and have a look how you're bowling. And if you see a flaw, or if you see a problem like you're leaning over far too much to one side when you're bowling, or your front leg block is not very good, it just seems like you're carrying on with that energy, the simplest thing to do is just to slow yourself down and just make sure you get that technique right. That's certainly how I'm going to be practicing over the summer as soon as I finished with my university sort of stuff. So if you found this useful, or if you have any comments on it, please leave a comment below, and I'll probably get back to you. That's all for now. Have a good Jubilee weekend.